This is African American History is American History. Drug use for medical and recreational reasons has been part of American life since this country began. In the 1890s, the Sears and Roebuck's catalog offered a syringe and a small amount of cocaine for $1.50, as cocaine was not yet illegal. In the 1800s, some states started to pass laws to ban or control drug use. In 1890, Congress imposed the first taxes on morphine and opium. The Smoking Opium Exclusion Act of 1909 made it illegal to possess, import, or use opium for smoking, but opium could still be used as medicine. In 1914, Congress passed the Harrison Act, which regulated and taxed the production, importation, and distribution of opiates and cocaine. In 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was passed and enacted. This federal law placed a tax on the sale of cannabis, hemp, or marijuana. The law didn't criminalize marijuana possession or its use, but it did impose severe penalties for tax evasion, including fines of up to $2,000 and a 5-year prison sentence. In June of 1971, President Richard Nixon declared his war on drugs. Today, here in the U.S., with a deadly opioid epidemic that skyrocketed during the worst days of the COVID pandemic, it's safe to say that nobody won the war. However, the biggest casualties of Nixon's war on drugs were Black and Latino Americans. Entire families and communities were affected. Nixon pushed through measures such as mandatory sentencing and no-knock warrants. He enforced maximum prison sentences for minor drug offenses, which in turn led to an increase in the prison industrial complex. And in 1973, Nixon created the Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA. This is African American History is American History.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, Richard M. Nixon.
I want to talk to you for a moment about civil rights, equal rights for all our citizens. Why must we vigorously defend them? First, because it is right and just. And second, because we cannot compete successfully with communism if we fail to utilize completely the minds and energies of all of our citizens. And third, the whole world is watching us. When we fail to grant equality to all, that makes news, bad news for America all over the world. Now, the record shows there's been more progress in civil rights in the past 8 years than in the preceding 80 years, because this administration has insisted on making progress. And I want to continue and speed up that progress. I want to help build a better America for all Americans.
Richard Nixon was a walking contradiction. He appeared to support civil rights through affirmative action, but at the same time took harsh steps to hinder black progress by opposing school busing and aligning with segregationist policies. This was part of his strategy: appeal to white voters while neglecting the needs of minorities. In an interview conducted by journalist Dan Baum and published in the April 1993 issue of Harper's Magazine, John Ehrlichman, Richard Nixon's domestic policy chief, explained that the Nixon campaign had two enemies: hippies and blacks. His comments left nothing to the imagination about Nixon's intentions in truly advocating for drug reform. It was all about racism and politics, plain and simple. Ehrlichman was quoted as saying,
"You want to know what this was really all about? The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing them both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did."
In 1986, Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. It was signed into law by President Ronald Reagan as part of his intensified war on drugs. The law established mandatory minimum prison sentences for certain drug offenses, leading to criticism for its unfair impact on people of color. For example, just 5 grams of crack cocaine, used more often by Black Americans, triggered a 5-year sentence, while it took 500 grams of powder cocaine, used more by white Americans, for the same penalty. These policies disproportionately targeted people of color, causing the number of people incarcerated for non-violent drug offenses to rise from 50,000 in 1980 to 400,000 in 1997. This is African American History is American History. By 2014, nearly half of the 186,000 people in federal prisons were serving time for drug-related charges, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Fast forward to 2024, Nixon's 1971 war on drugs fueled the current humanitarian crisis at the border and beyond, as well as the continued mass incarceration of minorities here in the U.S. This has been African American History is American History. The episode you've been listening to, The Truth Behind Nixon's War on Drugs, was written and directed by Harlan Kearsley. The voice actor for this episode was Jeffrey Schubert as John Ehrlichman. I'm Harlan Kearsley, and on behalf of everyone involved with African American History is American History, thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It's easy and free. And once you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified when new episodes are posted. Now, since this is the season of giving, please consider donating to the African American History is American History's GoFundMe account. Now, we know money's tight these days, so whatever you can spare will go a long way in helping us to keep Black history alive and accessible. So please, help us continue giving the gift of knowledge. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley 2024.